Well, a lot of people, when it comes to Valentine's Day, I don't think we typically think about the darker side of it. Kind of similar like Thanksgiving, when
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there's not everybody's thankful on Thanksgiving, and we've talked about that before. Right?
Romance is a special thing, but when we get into the space of unrealistic expectations or very lofty expectations,
Gaslighting,
yeah.
and I'm talking about it's like
What is love bombing?
Yeah, so love bombing is, from my understanding, is basically just
Be sad and be trying
right.
to do something that celebrates love.
Happy Valentine's Day. Welcome to Therapist Take. And we're going to talk about the darker side of Valentine, so don't go anywhere. Hey, Carrie.
Hey, Josh.
How are you doing?
Good. How about you?
Good. I'm just frustrated because we got these new mics
I know.
and these new mic stands, and the arms are a little shorter than
They
what
are.
I anticipated,
I'm
and
a
so
little
couldn't figure out
nervous.
how to.
I know.
Yeah. So
I know.
I'm worried that when you're talking toward me,
I know,
people
but
aren't
there's
gonna be able to hear
nowhere
you.
else this
Well,
is.
yeah, I had to go with the
I know.
just
Moving
get a
it
little
even
close,
closer.
a little closer. Oops, moved it.
What a
This
disaster.
this worked out better in my head. I'm like, oh, we get mic stands, so we don't have to use those table attachments that we had.
Well,
So okay,
I guess
well,
it's good for talking about the dark side of things today.
I know,
Because
yeah, because I'm really
the
frustrated with
problematics of this and then the problematics
Okay.
of Valentine's Day.
it. Right.
Yeah.
So, are you doing anything for Valentine's Day?
I had Galentines last night. So,
Is that the friendship one?
yeah.
With
my
is it like
girlfriends.
girls?
Yeah. My
Galentines.
Mm-hmm.
What do boys call it? Valentine.
I think they can
That
call
sounds
it
like Maleficent.
Palentine's Day, maybe?
Palentines.
I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. If not, they should call it that. That's
Yeah.
cute.
Oh, what?
Palentines.
Yeah, I was gonna
That's
say it's
cute.
better than Malentine. That sounds like
Yeah.
malfeasance,
That does.
which probably is fitting.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing anything.
You're not?
No. I just remembered it. Like I actually thought Valentine's Day was last Friday. Like when we were going to do the episode, I was like, man, I got to figure out. Like on Thursday,
Oh.
I need to get the episode ready, and I was like, oh wait, this isn't. I was going to do the Valentine's Day episode, get it ready, and I'm like, oh, we still got another week.
What a relief.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And then last night, my wife walks in and she's like, "Hey, I got the kids just some little chocolate things for Valentine's Day." I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "You didn't get me anything." I didn't say anything. I'm like, "You didn't get me anything, did you?" Because I didn't get you anything.
You still have time. You can go after this. Get
Do
her
I?
something. You should, Josh.
If she's watching this, I don't.
Josh, you know, my
Huh?
advice, get her something.
Oh well.
Okay.
I'll like. I'll like get her like something
Whatever's
like,
left over on the Target shelves
Yeah.
on the 4 o'clock on Valentine's Day.
I'll get her a walk.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so on the episode breakdown, what we're going to talk about today. So we're talking about the darker side of Valentine's Day. We're going to start out and just talk about the just the pressure to be in relationships, which kind of might be what I was alluding to early on in my life, and then unrealistic expectations, and maybe like relational strain, that is put on that Valentine's Day might. What word am I looking for? Kind of
Place on it.
yeah, place on it, or kind of if we let when we let the holiday set the precedent, I guess. We're going to talk about love bombing and what that is and what that means, and then finally we're going to talk about grief and loss
Okay. Yeah.
on Valentine's Day. So the first thing is it's kind of going back to what I was talking about earlier. There's a lot of people today that aren't in relationships, and I do think when you're young and single is one thing. That's kind of what I was reflecting on. I actually don't really remember being all that distraught
Yeah.
on Valentine's Day if I didn't have a girlfriend or a date or anything like that. I do remember after meeting my wife and dating her and getting married and things. I do remember not having a lot of money to go celebrate Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of wondering how it feels for a lot of people today that like have loved and lost. So I wonder if today is a much harder day
Yeah,
in that sense
I
for
think
people.
so. Yeah, I think even the idea of it representing love and relationships, if you don't feel like you have enough or quality relationships, that's just going to create a space for loneliness, right? It would seem.
Right.
And I think that, if we look at the data, what the Gen Z and I think it's Gen Z is the least coupled up since we've been keeping track of data.
Oh, really?
And so the number of people that are not in relationships, and they describe it, I think the next question is, are you likely to be in one soon? They're still saying no. And so there's probably that age group anyways. It's a wide maybe variety of people that
Yeah.
aren't in relationships or aren't in
Right.
committed relationships. So maybe I mean, that pressure,
Right.
maybe it's not there, or maybe it's there and it's
Right.
greater. I don't know. I can't project how that
Yeah.
feels, but still, you would think that if there's a lot of people out there that aren't in relationships, even if it's in the youngish phase of life, that they may be feeling lonely, or
Right.
that today maybe feels like more pressure.
Probably the thing I was talking about is probably better reserved for the last point. We're talking about loss and everything, but
Yeah.
but I do think like the way that relationships have been I don't know, put on a pedestal or glorified, especially like through Hollywood
Yeah.
and rom-coms and Jerry Maguire type events. We talk about this a lot. That they're what does it mean to not be in a relationship, especially on Valentine's Day. And I kind of think this is might be the single person's version of what young couples feel when their parents are pressuring them to have babies.
Oh, I saw Esther Perel just talking about Valentine's Day, and she said, that she hopes people can focus on this being a day of love, just love, right? And
Yeah.
so I think that's also an acknowledgement to some degree of this could be something that feels like pressure, right?
Yeah.
How do we switch gears and say, how can this be a day
Yeah.
that just helps us check in and celebrate or connect to love?
Right. I think that's a good, a good point to take too. Like with you having like Galentines, like, go hang out with your girlfriends. Go take care of your bromances. Go take care of your friendships, but I think something else that could be good too to kind of, you know, shift the perspective or change the tone of it is, just go tend to yourself.
Yes.
What's the problem with finding something you like on the shelf and just getting it for
Yeah.
yourself and sit down in front of your favorite rom-com or
Yeah.
action
Or
thriller or
whatever.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, I think it is. I think
Yeah.
being your own best friend, being
Yeah.
your own, biggest fan. That's a huge part of the work that we do with clients, right? Is
Yeah.
the mental health aspects of, you know, you can't really be there for other people
Right.
if you're not there for yourself.
Right. Yeah. So I think so. I mean, there's an intervention that I do with clients a lot that I call a selfie date. And so for me, I'm pretty boring in the sense of like what I find to be fun on dates, and that's dinner and a movie. So if I was going to do a selfie date, I would just go by myself to eat dinner and to the movie. As I have started to value my time to myself as
Yeah.
I've gotten older, which is usually not me. So I would say as I was probably entering my 30s, I started to do that, and a lot of people find, and when I've assigned this to clients, they find dinner to be the hardest
Oh, yeah.
because I think it's a lot. The movie can keep you distracted, right? But having a meal by yourself and what's happening all around you, the people aren't doing that, right? And where do they go when they are doing that? Up to the bar, right? No, go get you a table, sit down, have a meal by yourself.
Yeah.
And enjoy the company of yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're not enjoying the company of yourself, maybe that's the thing
Maybe that's what you're
to
working
work on, right? And so, all right, let's go to number 2.
Okay.
Just the unrealistic expectations and impossible relational strain that Valentine's Day might put on. Hence, you telling me to go buy my wife something before I'm feeling all this pressure now, and I'm worried that
That what?
she's gonna leave me now when
Oh,
I don't show up with.
but you're not going to do that because you're going to go get something. So. That's not unrealistic.
But
what
I
we're
feel like I'm
talking
gonna
about
go
here.
get it to make you happy.
Well, don't do that. Yeah, that's not good. But this what you're talking about is the opposite of inflated expectations,
Yeah.
right? I think people have a lot of inflate. They expect fancy this or that. They expect public declarations. They expect to feel so different than they do
Right.
on the
Yeah.
other 364 days of the year or whatever, right? And so I think that that's somewhat romantic, right? To let yourself think about something being special and different and significant. And
Right.
romance is a special thing, but when we get into the space of unrealistic expectations or very lofty expectations, what do they say in AA, right? Expectations are just future resentments, something
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. I like that.
So the idea is to, I think if you find yourself kind of going into your own head or whatever about what this day is supposed to mean or be or feel or what things you're supposed to have or give, just to be checking, like, is that realistic?
Yeah, I think that I don't know if this is so much a problem of Valentine's Day. Like the Valentine's Day is
I-
putting that
I
pressure.
agree, yeah.
I kind of think some of it is just the seasons of life type thing, and like I really like don't fear in one way, shape, or form that my wife, if I don't bring something home, for example, that she's going to be hurt or offended by that. But at the same time, if she is, she'll tell me. Like I'm not gonna have to worry about her keeping it to herself,
Reading minds, yeah.
and that ultimately that turning into a resentment where I hear about it 2 years later. That time that I didn't, that I quote unquote forgot Valentine's
Right,
Day.
right.
But I think the reason why is because you know what, we saw each other this morning and I said Happy Valentine's Day after I saw my kids' Valentine's boxes sitting out. Oh yeah, it's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day. We said it back to each other. But you know what I've bought today? I bought my son a shirt, undershirt for his baseball team because he's got a game and we were having to order it in a rush. Because we're busy.
Yeah.
And life's busy and
Never
there's a lot
stops.
of things to take care of, and we've, right now, as we know at the office with, being down a front office person and then the ice storm hitting. Everything. There's just a lot to take care of in our adult life.
Daily
There's a lot.
life,
I mean,
yeah,
and I think
yeah.
that's where the term like adulting. And so I think what happens though is that there's all this meaning attached to in memories of the way it used to be. And it's just not that way anymore. Like, even if I definitely am much more able to like do an elaborate Valentine's event, than I ever was when I was younger. But I'm less likely to because it's just, if I'm having to go down a list of holidays that matter, this one is not ranking very
Right.
high.
Right.
I think the key though is it's the same for my wife. Like if it ranked high for her, like it would rank higher for me. I wouldn't say it would rank as high, but it definitely would rank higher. And so I think it's when your relationship is transitioning into this new season of life where you got kids and careers and a lot of things to take care of, that if this doesn't pan out the way that you were hoping it would, then instead of that being the grand all end all of
Right.
things, it just make it a conversation
Right. Right.
about your experience with it and your feelings and what you would like it to be in the future. But
Right.
if it becomes that you don't love me and you didn't love me enough
Right.
to do this, that's what I would say would be like there's some kind of unrealistic expectation in there. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about. Have you heard of this concept of love bombing?
Well, yeah, of course. I know it.
I know. I mean, but to be in all honesty, like it's not like it's like maybe in the last couple of years, I've
It was in our CSAT training.
Well, I don't remember it. I might have been sleeping in that part of it or something.
Maybe. Yeah.
There are probably other words I would. Yeah, I think I would just say toxicity.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like it's just.
Well, it is. Yeah.
It's toxic. It's a form of codependency. It's a little, in its purest form. It's pretty what word?
Yeah. The
Sociopathic.
manipulation of it feels very
Yeah.
icky. Yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
It's a bit alarming, and I think it can be a form of gaslighting.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about it's like
What is love bombing?
Yeah. So love bombing is, from my understanding, is basically just an excessive amount of pursuit
Yes.
of a person that you're fixated on,
Yeah.
right? And I think because of it's not. I don't think it. The reason why I don't think we would call it stalking is because it's probably a person you actually are in a relationship with or have some type of relationship with. Where stalkers think they're in a relationship. It's very one-sided with a
Sure.
stalker, right?
Right.
Like they have
But
feelings for this person.
It could be.
Well, I'm not saying
Right,
you
right.
can't stalk somebody you love.
You can love bomb. Love bombing can be from a stalker, but love bombing
Well, sure.
probably is more often not from
I think most of the time the context that we're referring to it is somebody that you're either in a relationship with or
Right.
you have been in
Right. I
a
think
relationship
that's
with, right?
yes.
And it can come in anything from just constant lovey-dovey text messages to something as extreme as like just a lot of excessive gift giving and things like that. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's excessive words, praise, but it's also, met with the tone of all of the gifts and the messages and the words and the actions is, you're so amazing. I want to be with you. It's not just that; it's I must be with you, or I must get you to think or feel a way that
Right.
I want you to.
Right. And so that because of that kind of manipulative feel of it, it's very alarming to me. Like
Yeah.
if I was working with a client and they're telling me about their partner or an ex or someone that is or a recent ex and they're behaving this way, like it's like it makes me a little worried. Like
Yeah.
because if it what's after that? Like, is it going to turn physical, or
Right.
is it going to start looking like
Right.
a stalker type situation? I mean,
The
this
danger,
person
yeah.
is obsessed with you basically, and they're but from my understanding, like one of the purposes of it too is manipulation
Yeah.
and control, because if I can get you to feel this way about me or to question yourself or whatever it may
Right.
be, like it's like kind of like the barefoot and pregnant type thing. Like it makes it where you question yourself. And
Right.
so to kind of give an example, like if I'm professing my undying love, which by the way sounds very,
No, yeah.
it plays out very
Sounds
well on a
nice.
screen, right? Like in a rom-com, like, oh, it's perfect. And but I'm professing my undying love, but you're not feeling the same way about it. What kind of feelings might that generate in you when I just bore my soul? And what I really want to say is, I don't feel the same way. You need to leave. But kind of the objective is to get you feeling guilty and to manipulate that. Really, it really is to me probably the feeling of guilt and shame,
Yeah.
so that you basically welcome me
At least
into the fold.
enough of a confusion where the pause or the disruption or the threat to leave or whatever is stalled,
Right.
right? And so it is manipulative, right?
Right.
And it's often, we'll see it in part of a pattern, especially of some of these toxic relationships, right? So you have the chasm, the love bombing, the coming back together, and then a little bit of period of stability, and then tension building, the chasm, the love bombing, right? You kind of see
Right.
that circular pattern.
Right. So this is probably. I mean, I know we have like grief and loss. That's the last one, but I think the love bombing is probably the most alarming of the when we talk
I
about the
think it's
darker side
well. I
here.
think I mean this happens a lot in domestic violence relationships, right? And so the love bombing it feels icky, but it's also a part of the risk, right, and the danger that you're
Right.
assessing. And where
Yeah.
are we, right?
Yeah. So if you're somebody that you're in a relationship and there's this, I don't think this is limited to. I don't think it's going to up. It might. I guess it could escalate a little bit on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I
I
think it
guess
could.
but I actually think Valentine's Day might normalize it a little bit because you are expecting gifts. So really, but people that love bomb are doing it all the time, and so
Yes.
if you're experiencing that, like where somebody's that you're like in a relationship with or was in a relationship with, and they're continuing to escalate in their attention toward you, you probably need to start talking to somebody to figure out what
Yeah.
you're going to do about that
I
because
think so
it kind of worries me
Yeah.
because if that person is that quote unquote crazy about you, you know, this is where like the idea of like if I make you my everything, what might I do if I risk if I run into the reality of possibly losing you
Yeah.
and you're my everything? That's why we can't be each other's everything, just in a very
Another
practical
reason.
sense.
Yeah.
So, so be aware of that love bombing, and then kind of I guess it's really where I was going when I started out when I was thinking about. It's just what hit me when I was thinking about the undue pressure that Valentine's Day might put on single people or people that aren't in relationships or those types. The relationship hasn't progressed to that point yet. Um, and I was talking about how did I say it? Like the loss of there's a lot of people that are have loved and
Oh,
lost,
loved and lost.
right? And I think that fits more with our last point of the grief and loss.
Yeah. Sure.
Period. And there are a lot of people, and we've worked with a lot of people that this might be their first Valentine's Day without somebody they loved,
Right.
and whether that person has passed or it's somebody that there's been a divorce. It's particularly hard for um, the divorcee that didn't want it, the divorce.
Yeah.
But I also think it's still hard for the person who wanted it because most of the
Oh, yeah, I
time,
agree.
the people who get divorced don't. I mean, it's not like they're itching to break up their relationship. That's why they
Right.
probably stay much longer than they really needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for those people, I think this really is a time to take care of yourself more so than the first one we talked about.
Yeah, I think so too, because I think that there's there's an actual loss that your whole body, your whole nervous system has been through, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's a death or a divorce or ended relationships, or in the case of betrayal trauma, especially in the first year or two, right? It's grieving what you thought you had and what you have now and what you don't know you're going to have next, even if you're still in that relationship that's trying to heal, And so there's a lot of grief. It can feel heavy, even if you
Right.
try to be very intentional on this day and make space to be sad or try to celebrate what's good. I think that's great. But it's the idea that it's okay to be sad and be trying
Right.
to do something that celebrates love, right?
Yeah. So I know this is silly sounding, but I think comedians, they have. That's why things are funny is because it's true,
It's true.
right? And but it was George's dad on Seinfeld that came up with uh, alongside Christmas.
Festivus.
He came up with
Of
Festivus,
course.
right? Festivus for the rest of
Yes,
us,
yes,
right?
of course.
And why did he create it? Because he just felt like there needed to be a holiday to complain.
Yeah, airing of the grievances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, and why is that? It's because a lot of people don't feel
Yeah.
that way,
Right.
and I don't have a clever Festivus type holiday that Valentine's Day can be, but I do think for people that are going through that, to make Valentine's Day kind of your Festivus, of like it doesn't, you don't have to you can still recognize the holiday in the way that you want to. That's going to be helpful for you
That's right. Yeah.
in your well-being. And if that means you're going to sit around and
Air your
and air your
grievances.
grievances to a trusted friend
Yep.
or whatever about relationships past, I think that could be a great thing. Now, I think the reason why Festivus shouldn't be a holiday
Yeah.
is because if you need Festivus every year,
Yeah.
then we got a
Right.
larger problem here, right?
Right.
But I think year one, maybe year two,
Yeah.
but it should get better if you're healing, it should
Yeah,
get better
as
as
you're
the
working
days
through.
and months go on.
Yeah, I agree. That's nice.
Yeah, so make Valentine's Day what you want it to be for
Yeah,
yourself.
what's
I mean,
good
it's
for
not like
you.
right,
Yeah,
within reason.
true. Within reason. Everything is within reason.
Like don't road rage because you want to.
Yeah, no.
Thank you everybody for tuning in and listening to our podcast and supporting it. We appreciate all the watches and likes, and please don't forget again to go to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our channel, and check out the show notes, and I'll put a link to our link tree where you can see all the different type of content that we have. And we'll see you back. Oh, next time we have David Otwell coming back.
Oh, yeah.
That's
right.
We're going to do the final polygraph episode. So,
Wonderful.
yeah. All right. I'll see you back next time.